Jim Gallagher Jr. joins us on the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. In 1991 and 1992, Jim had a great run at the PGA Championship. Finished solo third in 1991, tied for second in 1992. If you're curious what that would have meant last year, $17.5 million purse at the PGA. And, Jim, if we could have, gotten you to hold off for about 30 years, it would have been significant that third place finish and that T2, about $1.5 million each for those. So, hey, you know what? You got great memories, though.
I do. Thanks for bringing that up, by the way. But, no, I mean, my dad was a PGA member for over, 45, 50 years. I mean, I think he still pays his dues at 85 or 6 years old. But it was a special tournament, and you mentioned in 91. That was at Crooked Stick, which was in Indiana, at a golf course I actually represented and played a zillion times. And that's the year John Daly won. I felt like, man, I could have won that one. But more or less 92 in St. Louis at Belle Reve was the one I probably should have been in a playoff with Nick Price. But great memories. And then that one there is what propelled me to make the Ryder Cup team that following year in 93. But it was always a championship that I just, with all the club pros that around in Indiana, now in Mississippi, in the Gulf State section, they just have always been, great to me. And it was one of the championships I had the most fun and look forward to playing. Of course, we played it back in August now. It's in May, but it was a wonderful championship for me.
I think I've told you this before. I was at the FedEx in Memphis in 1995, the year that you won it, and maybe my memory is just off. I feel like they gave you one of those big cardboard checks, though. Is that true?
They do, and it's true. I got it, and I haven't tried to cash it again. I don't know. Do you think they'll let me cash it again? Do you think it's worth anything? Because I had a couple of those down there in the basement. Yeah. But no, that's it. They used to do that. It was a cool part of the tradition, and now they're just playing for just ridiculous amounts of money, and we can get into that another day. But I feel like professional golf is in a very strange place right now, and unfortunately, we're talking about money and not winning championships. And I think none of us really got into it. Of course, we did it for a living, no question. Now, when you think of it in terms of money and career money, I made more money than Jack Nicklaus, so that perspective is insane. But when Tiger came out in 2000, 2001, everything went insane, and I hate the fact that we've got it kind of fractured, and we're talking about money, and we're not talking about winning championships and having the best players play against each other as much as they can. And I don't have the answer other than they better work it out soon, because sponsors and fans they're just kind of getting fed up with the sound.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, is golf going to be okay? I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways the game is more popular maybe than it's ever been, and yet there are a lot of people that are kind of fed up with talking about, well, this guy got this to go to live, and this guy, got a bonus of this amount. Like, just go play golf and win money and go on and, make it a great entertainment sport. But I know that's a little naive also.
Well, do you remember back in I guess it would have been in the 90s, open wheel racing, and I don't know how much of you followed it because there's more NASCAR down here. But growing up in Indiana, when IRL came out and split from kart, it fractured open wheel racing, and it never was the same. Yeah, sure, there's people still watch it, but it almost destroyed that series because there was that fracture. And, golf is as popular amongst people playing, which is fantastic, but professional golf, man, here's another deal. I think the value of what they think their value is so overinflated. When you think about ratings, what was the Masters, 9 million? When you think about the Chiefs and the Bills, I think they were 50 million people watching. And I think Mike Tirico made a comment. I think the preseason NFL game, maybe the average one is even way more than a PGA Tour event. So, it's a niche kind of fan base in watching it on TV. And a lot of people stream things now too. The younger generation, they don't get cable. They stream it. But I am worried that, like the fact you're saying, we're talking about money, and hey, it's a 17 million. How much longer will these sponsors stand in line, peeling out $20 million or $25 million? That's a hard one to answer.
Last year, the Hall of Fame game which is the kickoff to the season, to the preseason in the NFL. It's part of Hall of Fame weekend.
Right.
And it is the most meaningless game played by people who are in the NFL. Had 6.3 million viewers. And the final round of the Masters this year did 9 million.
Exactly. That's my point. And you know, Live and the Saudi money is not going away. The PGA Tour can't outspend them. So that narrative is gone. You know, I don't blame the guys for taking the money they took. Hey, if they'd offered me 40 or 50 million, I had 4 kids. It would have been a tough one to turn down. But that being said, it's just not healthy. And they've got to find a way of working it out. Maybe you go, the PGA Tour plays January to August, season's over, Liv takes over the rest of the season. But the question always comes back, how do you let the guys come back from Liv that left? And, I mean, I would say probably the best way of doing it is if you had exempt status left, you can use it. If you don't, sorry, Charlie, you took your 10, 20 million, go back to tour school, go back to the Korn Ferry Tour and earn your way back in. And I don't have the answer to that. I don't think they do. And it's a tough one. You know, you got these investors wanting to put a bunch of money in, but, you know, you've seen what these players may get in payouts for being loyal. Put that in purses. Help the sponsors. You know, help the tournaments. You think of the Sanderson Farms in Jackson. You know, this is maybe the last year for, you know, Sanderson sponsor. Help those tournaments out. I just was in Myrtle Beach. Fantastic tournament. They had 10,000, 12,000 people on the weekend. Big-time support. And it's an opposite event, and it was a wonderful, you know, event. Those people loved it. It's markets like that, or Jackson, and smaller markets that the impact. Think of all the money that goes to Children's Hospital and all the, you know, the benefits of that. You think of St. Jude up in Memphis. Of course, now that's a, you know, a playoff event, but
sure.
It's insane to think about what we're talking about, and we're not talking about winning championships and winning tournaments, because ultimately I think the way I got around it, and I did play for a lot of crazy money, not like now, but I thought of it in points instead of dollars. Now there's no way you can block it out of your mind. Would you say 1.7 million out of one for finishing second or third? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. And if you're one spot higher than that, it's 3.15 million this week. So it's a ton of money. But if we set all of that aside, goodness gracious, we've got stars this weekend. We've got Rory coming off a win. We've got Brooks coming off a win. We've got Scotty coming off a win the last time he played. Not to mention the fact that Tiger's teeing it up, and Justin Thomas is playing okay, and Xander's playing okay. So many guys are playing good golf as we head to Valhalla in Louisville this weekend.
Yeah, you do, and it's a golf course that some of the guys have played, and probably a lot of them haven't played. It's Zoysia Fairway, so for people who are, and it's a newer strand of Bermuda or of Zoysia, but think of a Southwind. That's Zoysia. This is an even better playing surface there in Louisville, bent greens, and it's 7,600 yards long. They're getting rain today. They're getting rain tomorrow. It's a big golf course. We watched it on the Ryder Cup, so you can remember that. I played a senior PGA there. I played a PGA there. You know, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, the stars are starting to play well. We wondered when that was going to happen, but a lot of times the PGA champ in the past, when it was in August, you'd get a name that maybe, you know, an upset. I mean, Sean McKeel is a great example of that. What a great win for him at Oak Hill. And, you know, set his whole career in a whole other direction. But, you know, you got to look at a guy like Brooks. You know, he's, like you said, these guys are playing well. Rory's playing fantastic, but he hadn't won a major in a long time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, but it's lining up. It should be exciting. And, you know, I think when you look back at the Ryder Cup, it was so exciting there. Of course, the Americans won, so it might have been more exciting for that way. But I think it's going to be an interesting test. The finish is pretty hard, and you get some par fives at the end. Should be some excitement, but it should be a good test this week.
All right, you mentioned a second ago the Zoysia Fairways. We've got about a minute until the break, and then we're going to switch gears and talk some college golf with you on the other side of the timeout. Not as much rollout on Zoysia as you get on Bermuda. They're not quite as firm. Now, the lies you get in the fairway are just phenomenal. They're those fluffy lies where the ball sits up. Do guys like Zoysia okay, or would they prefer to play on Bermuda?
I think, you know, for me, I was a cutter, and I came in steep, and it kind of shut my club face down. It kind of favors a person that maybe draws it, comes maybe from inside a little bit more and hits a little more of a draw shot. Pickers probably do a little better off of Zoysia, but, Around at greens, it's phenomenal chip off. You feel like you can make a lot of shots. But if it's going to be wet like this, like you said, it'll be spongy. You're not going to get the roll you do on Bermuda. But it's sitting up there like you're sitting on a tee, and you feel like you ought to hit a lot of good shots. And now with the greens being wet, they should be holding them for sure.
So what does that mean? Rory's going to hit at 340 instead of 360 this week?
Exactly. Going to have about 189 ball speed. So other than that, it's a pretty simple game. Brooks might get 190.
Other than that, wow. The NCAA Men's Golf Championships that are going right now, the format is 6 regional sites spread across the country, have 13 or 14 teams at each of those spots. The top 5 teams from each regional site advance to the national championships. This year, that is in Carlsbad, California, recently redone golf course out there. Last 3 years, they've been at Greyhawk out in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. And both Ole Miss and Mississippi State are alive. Ole Miss currently in 4th place at the Stanford Regional. Mississippi State currently in 6th, I think it is, at West Lafayette. They got a little bit of work to do tomorrow. Jim, I feel like college golf is exploding. You were involved in the selection show with Golf Channel just a couple of weeks ago. You're going to be involved in the coverage of the men's championship out in Carlsbad as well. Talk to me about college golf and what you are seeing at this level.
Well, you're seeing a lot of the future stars. Don't forget the women start the end of this week out there too. So they got both State and Ole Miss are out there, and it's going to be interesting to see a new golf course. But I just think that, these for the first time in years, athletic departments are putting money in to build these beautiful facilities. They've got one up there at Oxford at Ole Miss has a great facility. State has one as well. Everybody in the SEC does. And really all the big top, schools do. And these kids, it's tougher recruiting. But I think it's the future stars, and they're getting to be on TV. They're getting to do interviews. So that's why I think you see a kid like Chris Goddard up who just won at Myrtle Beach. So think of this. He went to Rutgers for 3 years, Big Ten Player of the Year, goes in the portal, which I'm not sure I like the portal or don't like the portal, but he goes in nonetheless. COVID hit. He goes to OU under Ryan Hibble at Oklahoma, and I think that was nothing but great for him, and he wins on the PGA Tour in his 27th event. You're seeing guys like that. You got Gordon Sargent at Vandy, who's an incredible player. There's so many great players, but they're getting that opportunity. They're getting starts at PGA Tour events. So, yes, college golf is big. We cover it on the Golf Channel. And I'm looking forward to the men's. I've done the women's in the past 2 or 3 years, and it's exciting. You wonder, okay, it's match play, but it's different because you've got 5 players and you've got to win 3 of the matches. And in regular, it's 4 scores out of the 5 count for medal. So it's a long week at the Nationals. Regionals, I would say, are probably the most stressful for coaches, maybe even players. And Ole Miss and State both have very good teams. Ole Miss men's team is very good. Chris has done a great job at Ole Miss, and that's what's so great. I think you're seeing the fruits and the hard work of guys like Timmy Overton and B.J. Trolio and our courses in Mississippi getting better and better, that we're seeing some kids. We're seeing a lot of in-state kids staying at home. I think that's so important to have teams like this because now you can keep kids at home instead of wandering off and maybe going to an Alabama. I get if you go to Stanford. I get it. It's academics. I understand all that. But I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing these players. You see Allie Ewing on the LPGA, Chad Ramey's on the PGA Tour, Wilson Furr. I mean, these guys, they're all from Mississippi. They all started playing junior golf, but through college golf. And, Davis Riley, forgot Davis. My gosh, I mean, he won at New Orleans last year. So it's fun to watch these young players. It's great for me when I do my coverage because sometimes I'll do tournaments like I just did in Myrtle Beach. I've seen these college players come. They're the future stars. But they get all this, they've got the equipment. They've got all the technology. They've got, it's a full-time job. Granted, they're getting scholarships, but it's a full-time job. They're up at 6:30 in the morning working out for a couple hours. They go to class. They go practice all afternoon. They go back to study hall, and they start all over again. But this is why those kids and these coaches have put all this time in is now they're at regionals, and that most stressful 3 days you'll have trying to get to La Costa in California to play for the national championship. It goes down out there, you make a cut after 54 holes, and then only the top 8 go into match play. It's some of the most exciting, fun golf to see these players, how good they are under the pressure, and I can't wait to cover them. I'm looking forward to the women playing this week as well at the end of the week.
So some of the most exciting golf we have is match play, right? Whether we're talking
Yes.
about the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup or the NCAA championships, when you get down to those final 8. And yet we don't do a whole lot of it. Should we have more match play in tournament golf than stroke play?
Well, I don't know if we would do it professionally because crazy things can happen in that. And, for TV reasons, if you don't get your superstars get knocked out, it kind of knocks the ratings up. But I hate they lost the match play on the tour because it was a fun tournament to watch. I mean, you look at their champions. I mean, Scotty Scheffler's in there at the end. I mean, Kevin Kisner, guys that play Ryder Cups and President's Cups. I think it's the purest form of one-on-one. They play it a lot over in Europe. We don't play it as much over here other than the U.S. AMs and maybe a few other amateur tournaments. I loved it because it was me against you, and you learn a lot about yourself. I was kind of made a lot of birdies, but I'd make some mistakes. I might make a double here and there. And in medal play, that could knock you out. But in match play, it's it doesn't hurt you. It's just one hole.
Just one hole.
But it's so much fun to play against someone else head to head. Hence the show, head to head. But I mean, it's just kind of it's the way I just love it. And I think for coaches, that's what they're looking for in players. Who is a kid that under the pressure, they hand them the ball? That's like the quarterback. I mean, it's just so much fun to watch. I mean, they're so good. And the technology and just what they have out there, the facilities, it's created what we have now. It's very competitive. It's tough recruiting, and I'm just so proud of our Mississippi schools for doing so well and competing on a national level. It's so great for our state, and we have some great golf courses, and I think there's nothing but some great talent down the pipeline. Hopefully, these kids that maybe saw a Sissy Gallagher or even my girls play in Allie, they're now playing now. And who's the next ones that we'll see coming up in the next 5 or 10 years could be playing LPGA or PGA Tour.
Well, and when you talk about kids staying home to play, that means they've got to be good in the first place. And to me, junior golf in Mississippi is at a place that maybe it's never been before. And so my example is very local. My kids are playing now, and, being at the club late in the afternoons to pick them up, you look around, it's like, there are 50 kids that are out here around the putting green, or they're getting lessons, or they got a group deal going on. And I feel like that's happening at a lot of golf courses all across Mississippi, not just where I am.
No, and I mentioned DJ and Tim. They started that. Look at Oak Hill Academy. They blow everybody out of the water at their little school. But you look at Randy Watkins' son, Thomas. He does the U.S. Kids down at Whisper Lake and down to Caroline. I mean, he's got, I don't even know how many kids down there playing. And that's where you grow the game. I mean, Randy's got this little 6-hole thing that's called the Loop, and these kids go out there all day long, and they just play and play and play and play. We have better instruction. Like you mentioned, Kyle up there. I mean, there's so many better, instructors than maybe we had in the past. And I think that's part of it. I think just because these kids are exposed to it more. And, a lot of kids don't want to play football. Don't want to play. I mean, it's still a sport in our state. But golf you can play forever. And I think the difference is Tiger Woods made it kind of cool. And when I was growing up, it was a lot like playing the piano. You loved to do it. You just didn't want anybody to know you did it, because you were embarrassed. But I don't think they feel like that now. I feel like they go out there and say, let's go play golf. Yeah, PGA of America has PGA League, Junior League. And that's where they have those little teams, like 5 or 8, 10 kids on a team. And kids like my son Thomas, who love to be around people, that was perfect for them. So you'll see a few teams from Mississippi. It's all across the country. And they get to go out there and play with their buddies as a team. Golf, to be great and to be at the level I was, you have to be very selfish. And I think that's why everybody loves the team events. And I think that's the biggest thing. To be great and to be one of the elite players, it takes a lot of all about me. Fortunately for me, I had a wife that allowed me to be kind of selfish at times and allowed me to do that with my career, even though she was an incredible player. And not a lot of guys have that opportunity I had by having her. But that's the beauty of it is instruction's better, courses are better, and now our teams in Mississippi are better. So I think that's just something we're really we're happy to see. That's where we are now in 2024.
Fantastic stuff. Let's go back to the PGA as we wrap things up. And as always, I appreciate your time. Always enjoy our conversations. Who are you looking at this week? I mean, I assume you start with Scotty Scheffler and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, they had the baby last week. I mean, I don't know how you ever bet against him. I think Brooks will have a good week. I think the guys that are long ball hitters, I also think the guys who come in a little more shallow. I mean, Rory's playing great. Can he finally get another major? Xander hadn't been able to close. And you'll see some guys that, I mean, I just think, look at guys that maybe played well at Memphis because it's Zoysia. although they are Bermuda greens. I think the long hitters are going to have a big-time advantage this week, and I think that's what you got to look at when you look at who's your favorites. I think it's a little tighter than we thought. And I'll say this, Kerry Haigh does a great job of setting up the golf course. It's very fair. There aren't a lot of tricks. And it's going to be challenging but fair, and that's what you asked for. But I think the long hitter is going to have a big advantage, especially if they can keep it in the fairway, because from what I understand, the rough's pretty juicy. But these guys hit it so far that it doesn't really make as much difference, especially when the greens are soft. But look for the long hitters to have a big week this week.
All right, completely subjective for you. We'll finish it up here. You've played Valhalla multiple times. You mentioned PGA there, senior PGA there, other times as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, just in terms of how much you liked the golf course, where does it go?
I would probably give it an 8. I haven't played it since they've redone it, but I would give it an 8. I mean, it's a fun golf course. It just doesn't. There weren't a lot of holes that were like, oh my gosh, I remember that hole. Other than the one that has the island green, can't tell you the number. It's like 13 or 14. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I just think it's that kind of golf course. But they've redone it. They've spent some money. We'll see what it looks like. But there's just so many great ones, and it ought to be, when it gets down to, as long as you've got a competitive finish, that's what we all want.
You're the best, Jim.